For our top international story this hour, we are taking a look at reports coming out of the U.S. claiming North Korea is secretly developing nuclear weapons. This week, the New York Times released an article titled, "In North Korea, Missile Bases Suggest a Great Deception," which asserts 16 North Korean missile sites have been discovered, according to commercial satellite images. The article states, quote, "North Korea is moving ahead with its ballistic missile program at 16 hidden bases that have been identified in new commercial satellite images, a network long known to American intelligence agencies but left undiscussed as President Trump claims to have neutralized the North's nuclear threat. The satellite images suggest that the North has engaged in a great deception." If this feels like a familiar script, that's because it is. Nearly every time progress is made in the Korea peace process, new reports emerge from the U.S. alleging North Korea is hiding secret missile bases, which contributes to U.S. security analysts and think tanks questioning the DPRK's willingness to disarm. Only weeks after the Trump-Kim summit in Singapore, a report from 38 North, a project of the Stimson Center, released photographs claiming to show secret fuel production sites. These reports disappeared from the news cycle within days, but the damage had already been done. The New York Times' newest article is just the latest example of speculative evidence being used to justify continued U.S. involvement in sovereign countries' affairs. Vice President Mike Pence made this clear in a press conference yesterday.
I just completed an important meeting with President Moon of South Korea. There again, we talked about the importance of this moment and in our negotiations over achieving a denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. We are in the process of planning another summit between President Trump and Chairman Kim. We respect the inter-Korean talks that have been taking place. President Moon and I talked very openly about that. And he assured me that as those inter-Korean talks take place, that there will continue to be very close coordination with the United States, and also that South Korea remains committed to fully enforcing all of the UN resolutions and sanctions. We expect all of our allies and partners in this effort to fully enforce all UN Security Council resolutions, and that includes China.
With North Korean nuclear weapons in question, we're joined now by producer Kei Pritsker. Kei, let's talk about this article first. What were some issues you had with it?
Yeah, so we should start with the date on the satellite image. It was dated March 29th, 2018, which was 3 months before the Trump-Kim summit. So that's when Kim made a commitment to denuclearize, but before then, there was no expectation of that. So, in these satellite images, it should not reflect any evidence of denuclearization, so the use of this image is pretty disingenuous. Secondly, the Sakanmol base, which was cited, was already known. It was characterized as undeclared or secret, but it was already known about. On March 10th, 2016, the South Korean military announced 2 North Korean missile tests that were done from this base, and there was, this was a big story in South Korea because people thought there might be Scud missiles or something like that. So it was reported on heavily. So to pretend like this was an undeclared base is ridiculous. And then finally, North Korea never promised a one-sided disarmament. What they promised is disarmament on an equal basis. They wanted reciprocation and concessions from the United States as well. And since the Trump-Kim summit, North Korea has destroyed tunnels leading to its missile sites. It's fully disarmed some of its missile sites. And recently, it agreed to allow international inspectors to inspect its missile sites. The United States, on the other hand, they temporarily suspended their full Eagle military drills, but those drills actually happened last week because they were unsuspended before the drills last week, so they really never made any concessions.
So this is a pattern of then North Korea consistently offering up concessions to show good faith, and the United States not really doing much to return that concession. This report was written by CSIS, the Center for Strategic and International Studies. What is that group, and what motivates them?
Yeah, so CSIS is a Washington, D.C. based think tank, and they're theoretically supposed to put out nonpartisan reports about security and intelligence and things like that, but they act more like a self-justifying cheerleader or like an academic arm of big banks, big oil, and the military-industrial complex. So all you have to do is take a look at some of their donors, their top donors, Bank of America, Chevron, Northrop Grumman. So that's a bank, a oil company, and a weapons manufacturer. You keep going down the list, you see a lot of American, classic American companies like ExxonMobil, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Citigroup. So, it's really a corporate operation over at CSIS. You have to ask yourself who's funding these groups and who's funding these reports. And on the board of trustees, which really guides CSIS's policies, Leon Panetta, the former director of the CIA, is on that. The CEOs of both Boeing and ExxonMobil sit on that board of trustees as well as Bob Schieffer from Face the Nation and CBS. So the media is also involved. So it's not an unbiased operation.
And what does all of this tell us about the information put out there designed to delegitimize DPRK and its intentions to denuclearize?
Yeah, so whenever we see reports like this saying, giving us a new reason to demonize North Korea, saying, they're deceptive and they're making these new missile sites, we need to remember that, who's funding these groups? Who is the one that would benefit from this report? Because this report is pushing escalations between North Korean and U.S. relations, and who would benefit from a theoretic conflict? Well, the people that would be making the weapons.
Northrop Grumman.
Yes.
Lockheed
Martin, General
Raytheon,
Dynamics.
all of them.
Exactly. So they're the ones that would benefit from a war. Who would be holding their deposits from their billion-dollar government contracts? Bank of America, Citigroup, J.P. Morgan Chase. So it's really, these reports are often cast as like reports or like failures of intelligence, but really it's more of an intentional plot to demonize North Korea. And on the other hand, the American people need to realize that, when they say North Korea is a threat, when they say North Korea is, they want to kill Americans, things like that, I think many working-class Americans already realize that you're more likely to be killed by an American police officer than you are by a North Korean soldier or a North Korean nuclear missile. It wasn't North Korea that foreclosed on millions of people's homes after the 2008 financial crisis. It was, the government that bailed out these banks that ran away with our money while, a lot of people were left homeless. It's not North Korea that is creating a, crisis of gentrification in major cities and creating food deserts. That's corporations like Monsanto. So, we need to think about what is really being said when, we're told that North Korea is a threat. It's trying to distract us from the real threat to American people, which is these mega banks and these corporations.
What do you think Americans don't understand about the current state of the peace process with Korea? Because Korea, North and South Korea, have been going about peace talks on their own, regardless of the U.S. position. Yeah,
what I think a lot of people don't realize is that there's a long history of Korean unity. The Korean people have always tried to be united, but they've been separated, whether it be by the Japanese colonizers or, the United States creating the 38th parallel. But this has been a 100-year-long process. They've been wanting to reunite, and there's really no stopping it. So, Donald Trump understands that this process is going to happen. He's trying to impose U.S. interests on the peace process. But, recently the United States has been failing to control the peace process. North and South Korea have been meeting on their own without the United States. And that's really upsetting to CSIS, these companies, and, Mike Pence and Donald Trump. Which is why we see these reports surfacing in media in an attempt to delegitimize the peace process. In Question Producer Kei Pritsker, thank you so much.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.